All right, here we are given a graph of a trig function and we want to try and find the equation, and it looks like we want to do that in terms of a sine. So the first thing I'm going to do is determine where the baseline is, where this is oscillating about. So I draw a line through the middle, and it looks like the middle is going to be right here, so that the graph goes as high as 1, 2, 3, 4 above the baseline and 1, 2, 3, 4 below the baseline. All right, so I know the B and the A because A is the amplitude and it goes up as far as 4 and down as far as 4 above and below the baseline. I'm going to figure out the omega and the phi in a minute, but the B, this is moved up 1, so there's a plus 1 on the end. All right, omega is determined by the period. So I'm going to figure out the period of the graph. I'm going to choose a point here that crosses the baseline and then do one cycle of the graph and then find where it crosses the baseline again. And that looks like the distance, or how far these are apart, then is 6, 4 and 2 more. So the period is 6. So if we take 2 pi over omega, that equals 6. Notice there's no pi in it. This one, the period is just an integer, 6. All right, let's go ahead and solve this for omega. So we'll multiply both sides by omega, and then we'll divide both sides by 6. So it looks like omega equals 2 pi over 6, which is pi over 3. So we put pi thirds in front of our x. You can see that if we did that, when we take 2 pi over omega, that the pi's cancel and our period is just 6 with no pi in it. Now we need to figure out our phase angle. So first of all, let's look at the graph and figure out the phase shift. So this is a sine graph. Normally it's right here at 0. So this is shifted. We'll go this way to the left by 1. So the phase shift is -1. So if we take omega x plus phi equaling 0 and we solve that for x, we get negative phi over omega, and we know omega is pi thirds, and that needs to equal -1. So let's go ahead and solve this for phi. Multiply both sides by a -1. We get those both sides now become a positive. And then if I multiply this side by pi over 3, those will cancel, and I multiply this side by pi over 3. So our phi needs to be pi over 3. So I'm going to put plus pi over 3. And that is the equation that we see graphed.